Morning, everybody. My name's Dana. I'm the circulation librarian over at Rogers Memorial Library, and we are here this morning. It's cold. If you notice, I got the old fleece on here. It is cold out here. But we are filming the last edition of the history of Hudson through the eyes of the library. So here we are today in front of Hills Memorial Library. This is where it all started. And it's only fitting that this is where our episodes end. So what we're going to do today is we're going to head over to the Hills house, the home of the Hudson Historical Society. And it's the summer home of the Hills family. It's been a wonderful trip with you guys. I am so thrilled that we were able to do this. I want to thank my boss, Linda Pila, over at Rogers Memorial Library for allowing me to do this, because the history of Hudson, it's our history. This is the people of Hudson. This is our history. This is our life. This is an important place. And it's one thing about history, it's happening every single day. Yesterday is history. So you're making history. We've only scratched the surface, but I want you guys to keep on looking, keep digging, finding those little things. We had a great time throughout this whole process. The guys at HCTV, you guys are great, you're wonderful. We put this thing together. So now we're going to head over to Hill's house and we'll see what happens there. Morning. Now we're at Hill's house. Hill's house, the home of the Hudson Historical Society. You know what the original name of Hill's house was? It's called Alvirne. It's the combination of Alfred and Virginia's names. This was the summer residence of the Hills family, though the Hills family owned all this land out here. So here I am sitting at this historical building doing my Mark Twain impersonation, the iconic shot of the rocking chair on the front porch. And what's in front of me, I can gaze over at Alvirne High School, my alma mater, and the dream of the Hills family that school would be built. Nothing screams Hudson history like this building. And the spirit of the Hills family in seeing that this whole town of Hudson became what it is. Now, the Hills family is one of the big names. You're going to see Hills all over the place in here. You know, the library that we just came from, this building, the park down there in front, Library Park, it's all Hills. The Hills family had something to do with all of it. If you have not been to this building, they do offer tours. Contact the Hudson Historical Society. It's a wealth of knowledge. It is something that if you are a resident of Hudson, you need to visit this place just to get grounded in what we have. But it's beautiful. This is what Hudson's all about. It's about Alvirne. It's about the Hills Memorial Library. It's about our cemeteries. It's about our history. I can't emphasize that enough. It's our history. So I'm glad that you are here. I'm glad you paid attention to these videos that we've been making, these programs. It's fitting that we ended here because this is where Hudson began.
Welcome to the Hills House. Today we're here completing a series that HCTV has been doing about the town of Hudson. One of the great assets of Hudson is everything that the Hills family did for the town. Not only do we have this Hills House, as everybody refers to it, its actual name is Alvirne, and it was built as a birthday present for his second wife. The house was built in 1890. The room we're sitting in today was built in 1891, a year after the house, and we refer to it as a great room. And it really is very unique Behind me, you can see what is the Greeley Library. The Greeley Library was a state-offered library that went from house to house, and it started obviously on Greeley Street, and you would have it in your home, and your neighbors and people could come and visit the library and take books. When you get tired of having your house as the library, it moved to someone else's house. Many great things happen in this room. I believe he built it as a precursor or a kind of a prototype, let's say, for the Hills Library, which is down on Library Street. Ironic. Other great things in the house is this beautiful stone fireplace behind me. They tell me that the stones in this fireplace were brought up to the house on oxen sleds from the river. When the house was built, you could see the Merrimack River from the front porch. I want to show you the luckiest clock in the state of New Hampshire. This antique clock was in the house, and unfortunately in the early 50s, the house was destined to be burned. The school department couldn't afford to keep it up and didn't really need a use for it. It's ironic because the first Alvirne high school class was held here in the great room in the early 1950s. So back to our clock. The clock was originally here in the house, and as the house was emptied out and boarded up, the clock went over to Alvirne High School, which really kept it as part of the artifacts here in the house, because many of the artifacts were sold or given away as the house was emptied out. Right before the Alvirne fire in 1974, somehow someone had the idea to bring the clock back to the historic house. So the clock came back across the street here and sits in the dining room, as you'll see. It's just the luckiest clock. So it missed being sold or given away, and it missed the fire that absolutely destroyed all of Alvirne in 1974. Well, the Historical Society, and I'd like to give you names, but I don't really know, in the early 60s, as the house was sitting here boarded up and almost destroyed, the Historical Society was formed to not only talk about Hudson history and try to save as much as possible, but to really make this the home of the Historical Society and bring this wonderful building back to life. The Historical Society is only the trusted caretakers of this house. It is owned by the SAU, the school district, as part of Dr. Hill's will, as with the chapel, the library, and a lot of acreage here on site. Not only is it the acreage that you see around the house, there is a town forest. Actually, I guess you have to call it an Alvirne forest, right up on the hill behind us. And the Alvirne forestry people still use that for wood production and things of that nature. The society works on volunteers and on donations. Our goal is to keep this house going. Everything we try to do here, we keep in the historic nature of the house. The house is on the historic register. We have open houses. We have one coming up in December. The house will also be open when Wreaths Across America are here. You know, I have to tell you, I'm really pretty new to the society in terms of membership. While I've been out here probably 15, 16 years, I've served as chairman for a while. I'm vice president now. Dave Alaconis is the president. So much goes on out here, you know, from life here with caretakers and everything that caretakers did, to weddings. The late Ben Nato was the last wedding we had out here, and it was spectacular. He somehow had connections, and everything had red and white roses, and it was just phenomenal. We had a fire in the fireplace, and it was quite the event. Baby showers happen out here a lot. We're always looking for new members. If you're interested in Hudson history, If your kids have come home from the 3rd grade tours that happen every year and talk about the great Hills House, come out, be a member. We have speakers that come from the New Hampshire Humanities and New Hampshire Historical Society. They're always on our website and our Facebook page. They're free to the public. There's just so many things that go on out here. A lot of it is the camaraderie that you get from being part of the Historical Society and helping out and keeping the history of the town of Hudson alive.
All right, we just finished up our visit here at the Hills House, Alvirne. Let's use it by its real name, Alvirne. So we spoke with Len, got a full detailed description of the house, the history, the whole 9 yards. We want to thank Len for doing that, and we really appreciate that. So now what we're doing is, this is it. Folks, this is it. This is it for our series. So we're going to head back down to the Hills Memorial Library. And don't like to say the word goodbye, but because I'm going to be back. You can't get rid of me that easy. But we're going to be doing something different. But again, I encourage you guys to all just investigate Hudson history, enjoy what you have, and I'll see you back down at the library. Got back from the Hills House. It was a great time. You sit on the porch, you can look at Alvirne High School, which was the dream of Dr. Hills, for that school to be there. So again, history is being made all the time. Get out, investigate, keep on searching. Now, again, this is the last episode of this whole series. It doesn't end here though. There's always things going on over at the library. There's things going on over at Hills House. There's things happening around you. Enjoy it, partake in it, enjoy living in Hudson. I grew up in Hudson. I always consider Hudson my home. It always will be my home, no matter where I end up. But thank you again very much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. The people that have come into the library and said that they've seen the show, makes me feel really good that I did this. So again, we'll see you when we do another episode of something else. Who knows? We'll talk to you later. Thank you.